You may not find a school there, but you find a temple. You may not find a clinic, but you find a temple. Because there is a dire desire, an inside desire, not artificial desire. Religion is not made by publicity of governments, propaganda of governments. They cannot create religion. Religion is an inborn quality that started with man, and it is deeply rooted in his conscience. And interestingly enough, governments who fight religion, like the Soviet Union, government who fight some religious aspect, forget about fighting religion itself, they fight some religious aspect, some minor religious aspect, like hijab. They fight hijab. Look at Turkey. Those of you who have been to Turkey, they have a first-hand experience of Turkey. The number of women who wear hijab and observe hijab is much more than the number of women who don't. Maybe 70% of Turkish Muslim women, they observe hijab, despite their government putting a ban on hijab and fighting hijab. You cannot fight something that God created in our hearts. A government, whether Kemal Mustafa Ataturk or the Turkish army or the Turkish political parties or generals, they cannot eliminate or eradicate something that God created and God designed for us. They failed. And the more these governments fight Islam or certain aspects of Islam or religion, the more people are going to feel proud of their faith. The more people are going to get hold of their faith and appreciate their faith and respect their faith and cherish their faith. The question is, and I conclude with this question and continue on this subject next week, inshallah ta'ala. The question is, if religion and faith and God is so fundamental in our hearts, in the conscience of people, then why do we find religious wars or wars that have been instigated by religion? Why today we see religion in many parts of the world, is the reason for conflict and war? If religion is something natural, faith in God is something natural, then why do we fight over it? The answer is, the conflict and fighting is not over religion, is not over faith in God or belief in God. We all agree upon that. All religions, they believe that God is essential and we have to believe in God. So they are not fighting because of the belief in God. Their fight and their conflict and their dispute is over the details of religion, the particulars of religion. In the Muslim nation, let's say, in the Muslim community, we have groups who believe that we are the authentic Islam. All others are non-Muslims. Even if they turn to the Qibla, direction of Mecca, even if they pray 5 times a day and fast Ramadan and go to Hajj, since they don't join us in some of the details of our religion or doctrine, then they are non-Muslims. They are branded non-Muslims, heretics, apostates. This is the problem here. There is no tolerance for others. The same thing in the Christian tradition. One church believes that it is the only road to salvation, while the next door church is the road to damnation. Because of religious intolerance, but when it comes to believing in God and having a relationship to Him, relationship with Him, we all believe it's important. So the fight is over what? The details. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Al-Imran, Allah says, sometimes man's selfishness, man's envy, man's inad, bigotry with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, make him become a religious zeal, make him become a religious radical. And Allah says in Surah Al-Imran that we send, when those rejected Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, إِلَّا مِن بَعْدِ مَا جَاءَهُمُ الْعِلْمُ بَغْيًا بَيْنَهُمْ إِنَّ الدِّينَ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ الْإِسْلَامِ. Verily, the last path, the last road to Allah is Islam, submission to Allah. وَمَا اخْتَلَفَ الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْكِتَابَ إِلَّا مِن بَعْدِ مَا جَاءَهُمُ الْعِلْمُ بَغْيًا بَيْنَهُمْ. Out of envy. They dissent after knowledge, clear knowledge came to them. They knew what is right and what is wrong. They knew what is the right path to Allah. Allah speaks here about the people of book during the time of the Prophet. إِنَّ الدِّينَ عِنْدَ اللَّهِ الْإِسْلَامِ وَمَا اخْتَلَفَ الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْكِتَابِ. Those who have been given the scriptures, those, the communities before Muslims who have been given the scriptures, إِلَّا مِن بَعْدِ مَا جَاءَهُمُ الْعِلْمِ. So it was not out of ignorance. It was out of bigotry and racism. Because Muhammad is not one of them. Had he been this man, had he been one of them, they would have glorified him, sanctified him. Because here's a problem, because he came from another country, another race. This is what is happening here in America. We pay the price of not being white, not being Christians. You have to pay the price here. This is exactly the problem that existed during the time of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. وَمَا اخْتَلَفَ الَّذِينَ أُوتُوا الْكِتَابَ إِلَّا مِن بَعْدِ مَا جَاءَهُمُ الْعِلْمُ بَغْيًا بَيْنَهُمْ. For the sheer contrary-mindedness, they wanted to tell the Prophet, we have our doctrine. Keep your doctrine for you. We are proud of our doctrine. Not because they did not know the truth. The truth was very apparent for them. And this is what we see at all times, even today. At the age of modernity, openness, information, we see some people who are bigots, who believe he adheres to his ancestors' tradition despite seeing the truth very clear before him. He is proud of his tradition. His tradition is more important to him than what? Than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We will continue on this subject inshallah ta'ala. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. وَالْعَصْرِ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا محمد وأهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين. نحمده ونسبحه ونقدسه على آلائه ونعمائه ونشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له وأن سيدنا محمدا عبده ورسوله أرسله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله. اللهم صل وسلم وبارك وترحم على محمد وآل محمد كأفضل ما صليت وسلمت وباركت وترحمت على إبراهيم وآل إبراهيم في العالمين إنك حميد مجيد. وصل اللهم وسلم على خلفاء نبيك وأوصيائه وأهل بيته علي أمير المؤمنين وقائد الغر المحجلين وعلى البضعة الطاهرة فاطمة الزهراء سيدة نساء العالمين وعلى سبطي نبي الرحمة وسيدي شباب أهل الجنة الحسن والحسين عليهما السلام وعلى علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي والخلف الهادي المهدي عجل الله تعالى فرجه الشريف وسهل مخرجه وجعلنا من أنصاره وأعوانه. عباد الله